did little newsletters. And in about 18 months it came together. And that's what I think people misunderstand in terms of Jamil, is that for 3 years there was bombing and shooting and chaos in Cambridge because we moved from public accommodations into desegregation of the hospital, the schools, the jobs, and it was a hard fight. It spread to the Eastern Shore, and Cambridge, unfortunately, was the last stronghold. Everybody else dropped some of their discriminatory practices. Rap had come in as he was then in the initial stages when SNCC first came into Cambridge and organized the students. After the Guard had been there for 18 months, the National Guard, and we had signed an agreement in Washington, and I had come to New York at that time. The Cambridge Nonviolent Action Committee that was a part of SNCC heard about Stokely and Rap's Black Power, and they wanted to know what the change was and asked me to get word to him to come into Cambridge.
We need to take a break, Ms. Richardson. We'll be back with more. Please, stay with us. So, in Maryland, this was a statewide problem, segregated facilities. Okay. Now, your campaign against it was over a year old before SNCC came in, or perhaps a little more.
Well, no, SNCC came in at the beginning and organized, but they were looking, as Julian said, for leadership possibilities.
Okay.
So they were there, and they had sent 2 field secretaries in, one white, one black.
When Rap arrived and got involved, was this the battleground that made him a national figure?
No, I think he was a national figure before that, because we had just come to the end of one part of our movement, and the whole nation was looking toward black power, as just was discussed. And when they asked for him to come in, it was to explain the whole black power concept in terms of how they were going to move him ahead. The Cambridge Nonviolent Action Committee changed their name to the Black Action Federation, and there were several groups that came together under that. So when Rap came in the month before, despite the fact that for years, in those 3 or 4 years, there had been a lot of turmoil, someone had been sabotaging white grocery stores and white stores in the black community because of their treatment of blacks, not only in terms of overcharging, but in terms of their disrespect to their children and to elderly people in the country. They had burnt a school because it was condemned, had been condemned since I was young, and they were going to put retarded children in the school. So someone there had burnt half the school. So that was the background in which, when Rap came in to talk with them and explain about black power and whatever changes from the old SNCC to what might possibly be the new thrust, and to speak at the rally, those were the conditions. We still had an evil police department, so much so that the former general of the National Guard that had been there for 18 months had called to find out if he could set some parameters, because he didn't trust the local police to handle that. And of course, which they didn't. They shot Rap in Louisiana.
Shot him?
Yes, in Louisiana. He fortunately grazed his forehead. Help was gotten. The local doctors, attended to him. And he had to be, not we, but the movement had to hide him for almost 2 or 3 days and get him out, eventually in my uncle's hearse, and get him out of the county because they were hunting for him so much. At that point, he had been in no trouble. So,
but after that,
is when they used that as a launching pad. So when he went
to do what?
To begin to attack him and harass him. So when he went to Louisiana and checked a gun with the airport, then they arrested him because he had been indicted in Maryland and did not know it. And then, of course, we took lawyers down and I went down with the lawyers in Cambridge. They arrested some local people. But that was the major attack against of Rap Brown as he was known then.
So wherever he went, he was sort of on the run.
On the run. So for almost a year and a half, until a New York incident occurred. And then he moved from, part of the Black Power thing was getting rid of drug lords. And in a fight against that a lot of people, I think, in the New York community were involved in, we had the shootout at that saloon where drug counselors claimed that both the police and drug dealers met. And whatever that situation is, I don't know the details, but most people felt that that was a setup once again because they were doing this fight against drugs. Now we go to Atlanta, where for 30 years he's been and organized 27 Muslim communities across the United States, and still was cleaning up drugs and had cleaned them up in his community. And now once again we have him, attacked by the police on what is really very strange kinds of evidence from the police. The police says the trail of blood. Then they find out in the trial that it was really animal blood. Then they said they shot him. The remaining live policeman says, well, he knows he shot him. He looked in his gray eyes. He has brown eyes. So there were a lot of discrepancies in that testimony that I thought, listening to other trials, that would raise reasonable doubt. But apparently these 12 people, of which I think 8 were black, were in some other limbo, whatever that was. So I don't know what kinds of people and what their experience was, in terms of the jury.
We can't argue the case here, Gloria Richardson, but I would like to ask you where you would place Rap Brown in your estimation in this country's history in the 60s.
Oh, I think he probably would be behind Malcolm or beside Malcolm.
Really?
I don't think anybody has done a consistent, under such governmental harassment over 30 years, when you're a highly regarded religious person, and continue to fight injustice through his religion.
Before he became a Muslim and after?
Yes.
You say he's been consistent in that regard?
Yes, he's been consistent in that regard.
Do you have a sense that the young people today have an understanding of who this man was and is?
I don't think so. I'm not even sure, even with Malcolm, if they know who he was, because I don't think it has been systematically, that history has been exposed in the classrooms. I don't think we have done a good job of seeing with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, who were the soldiers of the movement. There would have been no changes in the South if it had not been for these people, which rap was an expression of.
Okay, we are out of time for this segment, but I wanted to thank you. I do want to thank you for your participation.